started.
Oh, Stephen Ashek. Okay, let's try d4 again. It's got a Budapest gambit last time I played this. Let's see if we get something different this time. Yeah, maybe a Nimzo-Indian. Here we go. A Rubinstein variation. E3. And yeah, knight out to add a little support to that pawn. And he attacks it. Yeah, it's similar to the way I play it. I think I like bishop d3 here. And then I'm going to castle. Yeah, this is like the old main line where they just throw all the pawns forward. So let's pause and think here. Do I want to take any of these pawns? Pawn takes
Server announcement.
d4. C-pawn takes d5 is the most appealing looking move. He can take back with the knight, though, and get more pressure on my knight. I can defend with the queen, though. If he takes back with the pawn, the reason why it's appealing is if he takes back with the pawn, I can saddle him with an isolated queen's pawn. So let's try something like this. If he pushes the c-pawn forward, so now this is under attack, and I need to defend it. My idea was to defend with the queen, and then castle. And the queen also is looking at the queen and bishop are looking at this square here. He can saddle me with the isolated queen's pawn too. That's true. Okay, so let's take with the pawn and try and keep all the pieces on. If he takes with a knight,
Server
exposing an
announcement.
attack to the d pawn. I'll take back with a pawn, which kind of defends. Oh, he's doing something different. Does this really work? I mean, it kind of looks like a peace sack, doesn't it? I don't believe it works. I take back with the pawn here. The pawn doesn't really defend the knight because it's pinned, but it attacks the bishop. So he can play queen takes knight, but I can play pawn takes bishop, and I stay a piece ahead. And so unless there's some... the rook in the corner. It's a double pin. That is clever. So the rook is... the pawn is pinned here and here. So I can't take the queen. That's not legal. If I take the bishop, I lose the rook. But then I castle. And his king is exposed. So I think that's a decent exchange sack. We'll see. Yeah, maybe his queen is not that exposed. If he takes a moment to castle, I was thinking I would trap his queen, but then I realized his queen actually has the a2 square. But he moved his queen away. So now I can prevent him from castling by playing queen c5. He can block with the queen.
Check.
Well, that's a new tactic for me. I've never seen that one. I've seen similar kinds of tactics, but in that particular position I hadn't seen that before. So it'll be interesting to look at that, see if there was see if that's a well-known opening line or trap. What I'm thinking is that, yeah, if he takes, then I would take back with check. He plays his queen there, so yeah, he does want a castle. I can take, and if he wants to castle, he has to take with the queen. Let's see, can I go somewhere else? I guess I need to do this.
Check.
Okay, let's get the let's get the bishop off the back rank. Looking at the g7 pawn. He's got a pawn as well as being up the exchange, so materially I'm pretty far behind. Yeah, so he blunts the attack on the g7 pawn. The check here. Rook here.
Check.
See if I can be a little bit annoying with these checks. My king doesn't have any space. He just moves the king up. Okay, so let's give my king a little lift so I don't get mated on the back rank. I want to try and activate my rook with a move like rook to d1, hitting his queen, and then maybe lift it. But that was dangerous when there wasn't a... Okay, so now I'm looking at the g-pawn and I'm looking at the e-pawn, and maybe rook e1. It's an idea. So he gives up this pawn.
Check.
And the king has to come forward because if it goes back, I'll grab the rook. Now, is there something here? Yeah, this looks like this bishop is the wrong color. Okay,
check.
Let's get out of this with some checks. Yeah, let's try and activate my rook.
Check.
His position is just a little bit uncoordinated because his king doesn't have a real good shelter. Pawn structure is a bit disrupted. I didn't think he had to give me the g-pawn. He probably could have protected that. So all in all, black was probably winning through that sequence. And maybe he still is winning. But it's a little bit awkward for him. Okay, so is there some weird sacrifice here? Rook takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, check. These squares are all taken. These squares are taken, but the king can escape to f8. Almost works. Okay, well, let's see what he can do here. I have some loose pieces. Maybe queen here. Hitting my rook and my bishop is a problem. Rook up defends the bishop. He can grab a pawn. I was just thinking, get back to defend the g2 square. But I should have worried about my loose pieces here. So queen e2, he didn't play it. Okay. He's taking a look at this pawn, which I don't want to give up right away. I'm down enough material. But let's lift the rook anyway. Let's see, if queen takes pawn, then rook here check. King moves. And then I can grab here maybe. The king goes in front, and this pawn will be pinned. Yeah, I guess that's okay. The queen goes so far as to grab the a-pawn. It's kind of away from the theater, and maybe with my bishop and rook and queen all active here, it'll be not a good thing for black. And let's see, the check here is guarded by the queen. What can he try? He can take the pawn. He can try pinning the, no, the pinning probably doesn't work because I have the check at least. And then the queen can move. His queen is defended there. He can bring his rook to the second rank here, hitting my bishop. I would still go with the check and then move the bishop. Maybe the check would turn up. Depending on where the king goes, maybe it'll turn out there's a good square for the bishop after that. Like if the king goes into the corner, then I can take on e5. Okay, he does that. Okay, so let's go with the check.
Check.
The king will move. He did go to the corner, so I was thinking he might do that. That's funny. Get another pawn at least. I can take the rook, but I maintain this pin. Actually, I didn't have to take back right away. I could have checked first. I should have thought of that. That was probably much stronger. Oh no, his rook was already up here, so his king could have walked out to the G file. He'd already gotten rid of my rook. I was just thinking the diagonal check with the rook on this file would be deadly, but it would have been okay here. So he actually can't defend this pawn. So now, after I take this pawn, I'll be 2 pawns for the exchange, which is not bad. And his king is still a bit exposed here. No, he can grab the a pawn, of course. Or defend that pawn. Okay. Okay, so he defended the pawn and he defended the queen, so now my bishop is hanging. Is there anywhere I can go that's good? Probably here. Defending that pawn, staying on this diagonal. I'm thinking of giving up the a pawn. And then I'm going to play g5 to go after this pawn with the queen. Queen, bishop, and pawn against that pawn defended by queen and king. And it's pinned. So g5 should get a pawn back here. He can now check me. No, he can't check me on the back rank. My bishop is covering that square. Okay, this bishop is turning out to be a good piece now. For a while I was wondering if it was the wrong bishop. So I was starting to count my pawns a little too soon, but if I do win this pawn, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 against 3, just 1 pawn for the exchange. But it's an advanced passed pawn. May still have chances here. And of course he might make a mistake like rook to a3, in which case taking there with check wins the rook. But he doesn't go for that. Okay, so pawn takes check. Rook takes, bishop takes, yeah.
Check.
If the queen takes, after queen takes, I can grab the b pawn. And then just emerge from this pawn up with queens. Probably a drawish kind of game.
Check.
But he can't take with the king, he's got to take with the queen.
Check.
So, 1 pawn up. And now I could go into a king and pawn endgame here, right? That would be winning for me. So
Check.
Let's see if I can do that. Or I could just keep taking pawns. Yeah, he's avoiding the
Check.
he's avoiding the endgame. Okay. So if I take here, there's no check because queen check is here. And I cover that square, so my king is not getting checked. And I'm now 2 pawns up. He's attacking this pawn, threatening to check me here, and then probably get a perpetual check going back and forth between c1 and h6. So let's check his king some more.
Check.
Get my queen into a better position to defend against these various ideas.
Check.
Well, this has been quite a turnaround, but I might be able to win this game. Okay, so check here would drive his king back. Pawn here, check. Where is his king going? Still forward?
Check. Check.
If he steps onto this diagonal, I can force an exchange. So he stayed away from that.
Check.
Okay, so now my queen is protecting this pawn. And it's over here by my king. So if there's a check, let's see, if the queen goes here, he can check there or there. King up. I'm just wondering if there's some weird way to okay, let's push a pawn forward here. At some point I've got to queen one of these pawns. This is my candidate pawn, and I'll hold on to the others for safekeeping. Okay, he went there. Now if I push this one more, let's see, does he have a check and then a check here? He doesn't have the check on this diagonal, so I can keep pushing this forward.
Check.
There's no check on this diagonal. There is a check on that diagonal. Aha. True. Okay. Sloppy calculating. There's no check on this line now. That's the white's drawing plan, is to just catch me in a perpetual check here, which can happen, which it's difficult to avoid with so few pawns on the board. There's not much shelter for my king. But maybe there's enough. Maybe there's just enough. And he has to avoid any little tricks that force an exchange. Okay, he can come into here and check me here, and then my queen comes back here, and that forces an exchange. That's the only check I see here, so let's keep pushing that pawn forward.
Check.
There we go. All right. Well, that was quite a turnaround in that game. It'll be interesting to check out the postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.